everyone. Today I have with me Jumhied Kazi, the country representative for UNWomen. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Lovely being here.
So, my first question to you would be that Pakistan has made progress in women's representation and legal rights, but gaps remain in implementation. How is UN Women working with the government to turn gender equality policies into real change on the ground?
So thank you very much for that question. Pakistan, of course, progress has been made over the past couple of decades, but that progress is not without its challenges. It's not at the pace we would like to see. So as you rightly mentioned, there is more women in leadership positions incrementally. We have around 20% of women in the parliament. There is around women's workforce participation in Pakistan is around 23-24%. But that's nowhere close enough to where it needs to be. Whichever indicator you look at globally, Pakistan tends to rank towards the bottom when it comes to gender equality. Part of the challenge actually is data. We don't have adequate data, enough data. So oftentimes, because of that, we don't actually get to capture the real progress. So one of the things UNWomen is doing with the government is to support them in investing more in data collection across the board when it comes to how many women there are in the workforce, how many women there is in the agricultural sector, how many women in leadership positions. So one is on data, the other one is on working with the government and the parliament on legislation. So as you know, in Islamabad recently there was the Child Marriage Amendment Bill, which got passed, and it took almost, more than 10 years since it was passed in Sindh. So we're very much hoping that Punjab follows KP, other provinces do the same. So the other way we work is on making sure legislation is also in accordance with Pakistan's global commitments. And then of course we work very closely with governments and CSOs in terms of working on the ground on projects such as ending violence against women and girls, on women's economic empowerment, on digital inclusion, also on disaster risk reduction, to make sure that when climate disasters occur or there are floods, that we work with communities to make sure women's leadership is strengthened. So just a few examples of where we work across different sectors and themes.
It's amazing to see how, UN is diversity working across so many different sectors when it comes to women in Pakistan. And as you rightfully mentioned, that data indeed is Pakistan's biggest challenges. Until unless we don't have the right amount of data, we cannot implement a specific policy according to that as well. So women, and actually you mentioned this as well, that climate change is one of the most pressing issues that we're facing, and women are often hit hardest by climate change. What steps is UNWomen taking to ensure that women are a part of climate adaptation, recovery, and decision-making processes in their communities?
So one of the things we always tell women and their communities is when plans do occur at the community and the village level, women tend not to be part of those conversations. So the most important thing is when it comes to planning and understanding, for example, where is higher ground? What do you do in the case of floods? The other issue is we have a lot of women who are not trained to be first responders. So that's a challenge because of various cultural barriers. Even when there is a possibility for men to rescue women, they don't often do that because it's not a member of your family. It's a nahmaram. So more and more women are also learning to become first responders, so they can do that. They can help. But also, I think we recognize that women are affected by climate in different ways. Whether it's in terms of their health, in terms of also access to water, access to fuel wood. They tend to have to walk longer distances, particularly if you look at places like interior Sindh. So it really, really matters to their lives in a very personal way. So, we basically are trying to encourage them to take up more leadership positions. We train them on, for example, disaster planning, risk reduction, and also supporting with their livelihoods, for example, climate smart agriculture. Um, I will say though, we have a long way to go. We haven't done nearly enough. I'd like to explore more ways UNWomen can work with other partners to work on climate and environment.
As you rightfully mentioned, we do have a long way to go as a society as well, because there are a lot of stigmas that often tend to put women backwards, and because of those stigmas, a lot of policies cannot be implemented as well. But there's hope, and with the amount of work that organizations like UN are doing, I see like a change will come by. So just to wrap this up, I would like to ask you that many women still actually face barriers to joining the workforce, from lack of childcare to unsafe workplaces. What initiatives is UNWomen supporting to help women access safe, fair, and equal economic opportunities in Pakistan?
I think this is one of the biggest challenges we face in Pakistan. When you look at the education sector, women are graduating from universities in large numbers, sometimes more than men in some faculties. What we are not seeing is that being translated into more jobs. So the question I often ask is, so where are these women going? And why are they dropping out of the workforce? So some of the common things we see is, you've got to ensure safe and affordable transport. You've got to ensure a workplace free from sexual harassment. You've got to also ensure that there is the unpaid care burden that women face, and the unequal relationship between men and women in terms of household duties. That's the thing people aren't talking enough about. So one of the things we did recently was have a national dialogue in Pakistan on, let's look at the care economy. What is it? Do we even understand and appreciate how much of work and effort goes into caring for children, caring for elderly? So also, there is some policies about daycare centers, but not everyone has that. Some private companies do, but many don't. So one of the areas where we will see greater women in the workforce is if we can get this care economy, unpaid care work sorted. That means we need government to chip in, private sector to chip in, to make sure that we have an infrastructure and we cost how much that is costing us. So we have to make sure women either have daycare centers near their home, or we find other ways of making sure that the work is divided within the home. So men have to actually step up and take more responsibility so their wives can actually go out there. And that's a societal change. It's not something that we can snap our fingers and do. But it's I think if this is the one biggest obstacle to get women in the workforce in the numbers we really want.
I think you summed it up in an extremely brilliant manner, that men actually have to step up, and it's the societal change that we need. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.